But aside from that, he's just been, just the way that he's kicked off the season. He is the Boston Red Sox superstar.
Yes.
And one more thing before you jump in, Ed. I just want to say, still, to this day, I am heartbroken and sad and upset that the Diamondbacks sent him on his way to the Red Sox. Imagine how much different the team can be.
Yes.
I think that was a major mistake.
That short time he had with the Diamondbacks was incredible. I'll just have to bring up the stats that he had with the Diamondbacks on that rental year that he was here. But with the Red Sox, right now he's batting .476, Joanna, 8 for 15. You mentioned the home runs, 2 home runs, three doubles, 6 RBIs. He is just absolutely tearing the cover off of every baseball he hits. And it's just amazing what JD is doing. Stats. Let me bring up his stats from Arizona. That one year he had 29 in the 62 games he played, Joanna, 29 home runs, 65 RBIs, and he batted .302 in 62 games, 232 plate appearances in that 2017 season. Just imagine, you're right. Just imagine what could have been from 2017 until now had they kept JD Martinez here with the Diamondbacks. In that short time, 30 home runs in 62 games, Joanna. So that's like a home run every other day, every other game.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Was he not incredible that year, Joanna? And then the year after,
amazing.
And then the year after his first season with your Red Sox, he had 43 home runs and 130 RBIs. Oh, and then the year after that, Joanna, 2019, 36 home runs and 105 RBIs. So in 18 and 19, he had 79 home runs, 235 RBIs in 2 seasons. Huh. Think the Diamondbacks wouldn't have loved to have kept him?
I want to know why they didn't. Really. Wouldn't have cost them much.
No.
And then you know what? They would have made the postseason.
Sure. Look how much money they threw at Greinke. How much money they paid him, and they paid
$203 million.
Yes, and they paid Madison Bumgarner $85 million over 5 years. And what's he done so far for them? Nothing.
So
JD would have been a killer here if he would have stayed. They got that sample. They got that sample size, Joanna, and said, "Okay, see ya. It was great having you for 62 games, but be on your merry way." And now he's just murdering it in Fenway, in Beantown for your Red Sox.
Yep. But what can you do? Happy for him. Happy for the Red Sox.
Happy
have
for
a
you.
Superstar.
Yes.
And I just can't wait to what more he has to bring to the team. And hopefully that, of course, the Red Sox have seen his potential and what he has done and can continue to do for the organization. And hopefully being able to bring a World Series trophy yet again to Boston. They better not let go out of that little beautiful jewel that they have. Yes.
The first year he goes to Boston, they win a World Series.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. But as soon as that was a huge mistake. I can name a couple others, but that was one that Diamondbacks came to bite them in the butt. That said it from the very beginning, and I will continue to say it. But that's enough of that. And let's go ahead and I can just keep going, Ed. I can keep going talking baseball and talking, especially JD Martinez and Boston Red Sox and the Diamondbacks. Anyway. We are just down to the last few minutes here, and I just want to make sure that we get this in here, even if it's our only little bit of talk that we have for NFL, and that is Sam Darnold traded to the Panthers, 3 draft picks, and he's only 23 years old. He's escaped the Jets. What does this mean for the Panthers?
It means they have their guy. I don't know what that means for Teddy Bridgewater, but they felt enough of Sam Darnold that they would give up those 3 draft picks you mentioned, and they felt that they give up the 2021 6th round pick this year plus 2022 second and a 4th rounder, and so they believe that much in Sam Darnold that he can come down to Charlotte and resurrect his career, because it didn't work clearly in New York with the Jets. Just wasn't a great situation under Adam Gase there. It was just an absolute disaster. He couldn't stay healthy for the majority of his time he was in New York. So no quarterback's going to be effective when he's in and out of the lineup when he's not healthy, completely healthy, Joanna. So that was another situation as to why Sam Darnold was not effective up there. Plus, he didn't have his full complement of weapons on a game-by-game basis. So when you don't have your weapons, you're not healthy, the system's not working, and you cannot find a way to win, and your organization is in shambles, then you're going to be in the situation that Darnold was in and the New York Jets were in, where they were the laughingstock, one of the worst teams in the National Football League. But now he gets to go to Charlotte and gets a fresh new start. How many quarterbacks have changed zip codes in the offseason, getting fresh starts? And hopefully this will be a fresh start for Sam Darnold down in Charlotte. And he's got some talent down there, Christian McCaffrey, and he's got so many other weapons. DJ Moore, one of the really good, solid young wide receivers down there. He's got weapons that he can throw the ball to. And Matt Rule's a really good young head coach. He'll hopefully get Sam Darnold in the place where he needs to be from a physical and a mental standpoint. But we'll see what happens with the New York Jets. By all accounts, Zach Wilson is probably on their radar at that number 2 pick. So they'll move on and have another young quarterback in New York for new head coach Robert Saleh to coach up and for him to get him ready to go, the BYU product. But we'll see what happens with the Jets. But it looks like there'll be a lot of quarterbacks picked in the first, maybe all the first 5 picks are all quarterbacks, Joanna. Who knows? Who knows?
Anything can happen in the draft, right?
Yes.
We've seen it happen.
Yes. The 49ers do some major trades to go up to number 3, and they'll most likely get a quarterback. So the Jets are good at quarterback. The 49ers will get one. We speculate that Trevor Lawrence will go to Jacksonville with the number 1 pick. So at least the first 3 picks will all be quarterbacks, Joanna. Just crazy.
Yeah. I am very curious what's going to happen with Teddy. Because it does bring a little light bulb and saying, you know, you have someone here who is your star QB, and so much that he has, accomplished in that short time he has been a quarterback, and he can be your star quarterback. But then you have Sam Darnold that you've just acquired. So where does that leave Teddy, and where does that put Sam? What's your game plan here? Is Teddy still going to be your starter? You're going to have Sam as a backup? Or there's just so much, to think about and what the Panthers are thinking and how they're going to play this out.
That is interesting. Maybe I'm sure they'll compete for that number 1 starting spot, but Teddy's going to make about he's making about $22 million, 17 in base salaries, $5 million in a signing bonus. So his cap hit will be about $23 million. So Teddy's, he's on the books for a lot of money for the Carolina Panthers. So I would imagine that he would compete for that number 1 starting spot with Sam Darnold. And that'll be a good battle in training camp and, for the off season, just for the right to be who's number 1 and who's number 2. But, can Teddy stay healthy and Sam Darnold stay healthy? Because both of those young men have suffered injuries in their young careers, which is kind of derailed the progress and the success that they've been lacking in their careers.
Right. Yeah. And do they keep, expect to see who's going to be the number 1, number 2 due to what you just mentioned? Or is it, okay, you're going to compete, and then are you going to ship one off? Or are you ultimately going to come to a decision before that even happens, and you're going to chip off, Teddy?
Yeah. Whoever Matt Rule decides is the clear cut number 1, it's like, okay, so if he decides if Sam is the number 1 or Teddy's the number 1, then the other the other quarterback's going to have to be relegated to the number 2 spot. Or will they be happy to being the number 2 quarterback on the roster? We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns.
Yep. A lot of question marks here. Do you see them?
Yep, I see them. There they are. Right,
so very, very, very curious to see what's going to happen with these two, and what the Panthers and everyone, coaches and everyone making those top decisions, what they come to.
But good for Sam Darnold that there was still some interest in him on the free agent market. I know the Washington football team, there were rumors that they were possibly interested in him among some other teams, but good for him that the Carolina Panthers wanted him enough that they made this deal. They gave up 3 draft picks to bring Sam Darnold down there to Charlotte. So good for him that he gets another chance to resurrect himself and build his career back up.
Yes, indeed. So we just have to wait it out and see, and what is decided in the end. Mm-hmm. So with this, it does conclude our second hour, Ed. So we'll have to say our goodbyes.
What a great show. Week. Great guests we had on. We had a nice drive-by from PLR, and Brother Ed Smith joined us for an entire hour.
Yes, he did. Just a little bit over an hour, which I am very grateful for Ed. I know he's going through a little bit of his back not doing too great, and appreciate him sticking around for me to ask him that one a very important question I had for him. I had to ask, being that he was in Atlanta, He was with the Falcons, and on all of that history he has there. So how could I not? But yeah, very, very fortunate to have him on, and as well as PLR, very good friend. So can you? Yes. So you totally read my mind. Can you go ahead and let our listeners know and our viewers here how they can find you, where they can tune in at?
Yes, ma'am. Right here on Inside Sports Talk every Tuesday night on KSRN, and we also put another version of it, a completely separate version. We never talked about that, Joanne. Well, yeah, you do, but we put a completely separate version of this show on Spotify as well, and Joanna will give you more information about that. But here on Inside Sports Talk, on Brother PLR's show, Inside Sports Talk, sometimes you and I both are on Brother Ed Smith's show, Easy Sports Talk, and Twitter at EdCole43 and Instagram at EdwardCole301.
All right. Catch a little breath there, Ed, as I wrap this up. So you can go ahead and follow me, Johanna-Rosalye, at both Instagram and Twitter at JRosalye, JRosalye. And you can go ahead and follow Inside Sports Network on Instagram at Inside Sports Net, and on Twitter at Inside Sports. Just add an extra S at the end of that tag there. And with that, we wanted to go ahead and thank you for tuning in, listening in each and every week. As always, we bring you a new episode, a new show with special guests. And make sure you go ahead and download and listen from wherever it is that you listen to podcasts each and every week, and on KSRN Arizona as well. Thank you, everyone. This was Inside Sports Talk.